Hello and welcome to Pet Watch, a monthly program about the Williamson County Animal Center. I'm Debbie Sims and I'll be your host today, and I have three guests. One of them is a dog named Jack, and then we have Claudia Parker. Hello, Claudia.
Morning.
And we have Roxane Dover, and they are here to talk about a big event that is coming up on March 7th called a Pawsome Gala, or Gala, depending on your pronunciation. They represent our Friends of the Shelter group. Friends of Williamson County Animal Center. You have your own website, correct?
We do.
Okay.
We also have a Facebook page.
Great. Okay. And your website is?
It's www.friendsofwcac.com.
Okay. And on it, the Friends of WCAC do a lot of things.
Yes.
And one of their the big things that they do is help provide special medical care for some of the animals at the shelter that needs that go above and beyond what our shelter vet can do.
Exactly.
And Jack is a perfect example. Jack was a shelter dog, and tell us what happened with Jack and how he ended up being your pet.
Jack actually had suffered from hip dysplasia. And after it was discovered and he was taken to a specialty clinic, Friends of actually very kindly paid for his surgery. And at the time that happened, they were looking for a foster to take him so he could recover in a home versus the shelter. So I said, okay, I can do that. And as things happen, of course, you know, he grew very dear to my heart. And as we volunteers at the shelter call it, it was a foster fail.
Right, a failed foster.
A failed foster.
And hip dysplasia is a very complex surgery.
It is. It is. It cost over $2,000, as far as I know, to actually have the surgery. He actually needed some physical therapy afterwards. We went swimming. Somebody kindly provided their pool so we could do that. He needed to be massaged on a daily basis. And but here we are 7 months later, and he runs around when you see him in the field.
I hear he chases ducks.
He chases ducks, yeah, a little bit to my dismay, and I'm sure the ducks' dismay.
The ducks.
But he is overall a very healthy dog. He loves my cats, which was one of the really big reasons I decided to keep him, because he had to get along with them.
Well, this kind of surgery is just one of the things that the Friends of group is called upon to by the shelter, and we do work together. The Friends of has a board that takes every medical case into consideration and decides what's the quality of life going to be for that dog. Will it be substantially better? And in this case, it turned out to be a great thing for you and for Jack.
Exactly.
And your cats.
And the cats. Exactly.
Now, the Pawsome Gala is a new thing for Friends because it's the first big fundraiser that they've ever had. Tell us a date, time, and what's going to happen at the Pawsome Gala.
So we're very excited to be able to have this inaugural event as a fundraiser for Friends of. It's going to take place on March 7th at the barn at Sycamore Farms in Arrington. It holds about 250 people, so that's how many tickets we are hoping to sell, and we have already actually sold a lot of them. It starts at 6 p.m. A.m. would be.
No, we're not doing the breakfast. That's the mayor's thing. The early breakfast is the thing he likes. But this is a nighttime event.
It is a nighttime event. We're asking, people should be comfortable, but we're asking for business attire. And we have a lot of entertainment. We have a very nice band that we were able to acquire. We have live and silent auctions that should be fun and are actually spearheaded by a real auctioneer, so it should be very fun for everybody. And of course dinner, which will be buffet style.
Okay, a catered dinner.
It's a catered dinner.
And the
exactly.
individual tickets are $100 for the evening.
That's correct, and we still have a few tables for sale, which are $1,500.
Okay, so if a company is interested in having a presence there, they might want to purchase a table or sponsor a table for $1,500 and then have 10 people of their choice, which is a great place to
Exactly.
honor your best employees, give them a ticket, or your clients. And
Exactly.
we want people to bring along animal lovers who want to help us raise funds. And we talked about the medical side. Another thing Friends of WCAC does is behavior training.
Yes.
And they have paid for trainers to come in and help our volunteers like you learn more about handling dogs. And how has that helped you as a volunteer?
Well, they had numerous trainers, as you said, come to the shelter. And every time I learned something new and how to actually improve the adaptability of that particular dog. Because a lot of the dogs, or cats for that matter, have behavior issues. That may be one of the reasons why they're in the shelter in the first place. But the shelter environment also sometimes enhances that. So it has helped me tremendously. It goes from, leash walking, because some of the dogs don't know how to properly walk on a leash. And just in general, we're doing now play groups in the morning, sometimes, or afternoons. We were taught how to properly do that, how to properly introduce dogs to each other. So that has been very helpful.
That's great, because it is a little more complex than just going over there and walking a dog.
Exactly.
Some of them are easy to walk, and then others have had trauma in their past. They have not been trained
That's correct.
by the person who surrendered them, or they're found as strays, and we really don't know their history. So you hit on the key word is adoptability.
Yes.
That every minute a volunteer spends with a dog could take days or weeks off how long that dog is in the shelter, because they don't show well in a kennel. Right.
Exactly.
And then they're very excited when they get out. So the more we can find out about an animal, and especially a dog, and the more we can find out about the people that are going to adopt, the better we can make the match. And you end up being a matchmaker too, don't you, Claudia?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the rewarding things at the shelter, that when you find a great match, when people come in, they adopt a cat or a dog, and this is going to be their forever home, and that's just a wonderful feeling and makes up for a lot of things.
Yeah, it does. And the event, the Pawsome Gala event, will be raising funds. It'll be spread over those three areas: medical needs, behavioral training, and then future use for facilities, because we all know the shelter has purchased property to build a new shelter, and hopefully we'll be turning some dirt on that this year, and we're all very excited about it, and we're happy that Friends of wants to be a part of that and put forward some of the funds for that. Now, Roxane has been working hard on the auction. You have a gift for that, Roxane, I must say.
Maybe. I don't know.
She's been out in the community talking to people, asking them if they'd like to donate an item, and people are coming forward with great things. So tell us first about your work has mostly been on collecting items, and some of them end up in the silent auction,
Yes.
which will be large. How many items do you expect to be in the silent auction phase?
We would like to have at least 60, and we're approaching that. So we clearly would take more than that, but we've had a really, really good variety of items where individuals and businesses have donated. So we're very pleased.
And what's your criteria there? Is it something of value of $50 and above, or what?
It can be any value.
value?
There is
Okay.
no minimum value for the silent auction. We have obtained items in the animal category for pet boarding, veterinary services, grooming, animal training, artwork. It's a very interesting variety. And outside that category, we've got sporting packages, symphony tickets, dance lessons, gift baskets,
Wow.
just signed, autographed music, memorabilia, a wide variety. I think people will be really excited about.
You know, we have such a wonderful community of animal lovers that when I've solicited donations for the shelter for various things, I've never been turned down by anybody. So, and it's almost an easy sell when you say we're having an event for animals or raise money for animals and that kind of thing. People here are so giving, and don't
They
you think
are.
that we have a
That's
very
true.
our community? People love their animals.
They really have rallied. I mean, you say I have a gift for it, but it's not that difficult.
It's not that hard, is it?
Because
Sometimes.
people really love animals, and
Yeah.
they're very responsive, and they want to engage in the goal.
If a local business wants to donate an item, the higher ticket items we would love to have.
Sure.
An airline ticket, a trip, a high-end jewelry item, we would put those in the live auction category. And Claudia knows a little bit more about that. And she has a little teaser about one item we have in the live auction section. We'll have at most 5 to 7 items. It's still in flux. We're still gathering. But one of those is very exciting. And I think people have probably noticed your accent and may have detected that you're German. And somehow you've managed to get a Germany trip out
It's
of.
actually a cruise, and it's supported by Viking Cruises, and it is a Rhine River cruise.
Wow.
So yes, so I'm very excited to be able to offer that in the live auction. So whoever hears this, make sure your passport is up to date. So
Do you have to leave the very next day?
No,
Should
you do
they don't
not.
have to pack their bag and bring it to the event. Okay.
No, you don't,
So
but
what's
it's
the
good to
starting and
know.
ending point? Is it in flux, or do you know the actual?
It's still actually, you can modify the strip, and we're still looking at actually securing airfare for that, but that would actually be better if we knew where the person would be coming from, if it's actually indeed from Nashville, which is probably the case.
Right.
But it starts usually all the way up in Rotterdam in Holland, and then just follows the Rhine River down through Germany, and
I
then
think
fly
when you,
back,
what
yeah.
are some of the highlights of that? Is one of the most famous castles in the world.
It's actually the most famous castle in the world is actually in Bavaria. It's called Neuschwanstein, which is in the Bavarian Alps.
Okay.
But alongside the Rhine River in Germany, actually the area where I grew up, you have a castle alongside the river like every 100 meters.
Wow.
It's just absolutely amazing.
And this is a very small Viking cruise. River cruise boats are very small, very intimate, very upscale, and I want to go. I'm ready. So what are
you better come to the gala.
I will be at the gala.
Can we start bidding now?
No, we're not opening bidding on any of this till the night of, and that's a good question. That's a good question
Yes.
because many local events have online bidding before and during. We are not doing
We're
that
not
this
doing
year,
that,
so
yeah.
you do need to be there to get your 2 cents
Exactly.
worth in, and to get to up
Exactly.
those bids. And the silent auction will be manually done on bid
Right.
sheets, right?
Right, correct.
Okay, and so it'll be fun. Everybody will be watching items on the different tables. And hopefully there'll be a rush there. And the live auction section will take place during the program.
Exactly.
And each item will be competed for by our audience for, I know the Rhine River Cruise will be a popular item. So again, we encourage people to come and get in the spirit of raising money and come out with a great trip. A great item. You never know what will be in there. So if anybody out there has any items for either one of those auctions, what would be the best way for them to contact us?
Yeah, go ahead.
That would be our email, Claudia at friendsofwcac.com. And if you would identify your contact information, what you'd like to donate, then one of us, probably me, will get in touch with you, and we'll make arrangements to pick up the item. And our goal would be mid-February, but we will certainly take any items for donation up until the day of the event.
Okay, so email Claudia, Claudia, at
Correct.
friendsofwcac.com. And if they go on that website as well, they'll see the event information and how to purchase tickets.
Exactly. There's a link there. You just have to click on it, and it gets you to the site where you can actually purchase the tickets.
And two things are available there. It's an individual ticket and a table
And a
sponsorship
table
until they're all
sponsorship.
gone.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now, there'll also be a new thing in the event field lately, at events I've gone to, is that people try to fund a specific need at the
Yes.
shelter.
Right.
And we're going to be doing that night for beginning of a new vehicle fund
Yes.
for a vehicle
Yes.
for the animal center to use, compliments of friends of and whoever else wants to donate. So how that will work, as I understand it, can you tell us a little bit about it? Do you understand how that will work that night when we will be
For the-
actually
the
auctioning
vehicle?
a fund to
Yeah.
need?
That will actually be, that particular one for the vehicle will be in the live auction, just like a normal live auction item. And so, description of the vehicle and the normal bidding process, but then there also will be a separate fund and need table. Because we understand some people don't want to take an item home, they would rather directly fund something to benefit the animals. So there'll be items, categories on that table for funding spay-neuter program, medical expenses, animal enrichment, behavioral training, and things like that.
That's wonderful.
So people can direct their
So rather than
donations.
bidding on
Right.
a massage, they could go over to the table and it could say, would
Correct.
you like
Exactly.
to bid on sponsoring
Yes.
this many adoptions or this many training hours for our volunteers? So that's a new thing. Usually we're used to bidding on specific items that we can
Yes.
carry home that night. The vehicle is something the shelter, as I will take time here to say, that the shelter desperately needs. We need a great vehicle that showcases what we do and what Friends Of does,
Right.
and can go out to events and make a great impression, because we work so hard with what we have at the shelter. People like you are so involved that we really need a nicer looking vehicle. So the way that'll work will be asking people for a financial contribution that night.
Yes.
And we hope to have some bidders challenge each other, and if we could get that whole vehicle funded that night, it would be a miraculous thing.
Yes.
Yes. And
But
I'll-
not out of the question.
it's nothing is out of the question. Now tell me, you're both volunteer at the shelter.
Yes.
On a regular basis, other than working on this event. So how did you get involved with the Animal Center?
Well, actually, last fall, I attended a meeting Friends of WCAC had with the shelter volunteer group. I wanted to learn more. I was just starting to volunteer, and I wanted to learn more about the organizations. And when I was there, the gala was announced, and the request for people to serve on committees. I had experience with benefits, so here I am.
And you've brought your husband into the loop too, and he's helping
Yes.
us out too.
Yes.
So there's lots of Excel spreadsheets out there.
He's
and-
the financial brain, so I put him to work.
When you do volunteer at the shelter, what do you like to do when you go?
I am a dog volunteer, so
Okay.
I go and spend time dog walking, socializing the animals, and working with potential adopters or adopters, and I just love it.
I've never seen a group more dedicated than our volunteers, and you guys are just two examples of. But people get so wrapped up in, like Claudia said, finding the right home for the dog,
Right.
especially the dogs. And we have Claudia does both dogs and cats, right?
I do.
Yeah.
yes.
How'd that happen?
I'm not quite sure myself, but no, I've always loved animals. So no matter, I always brought animals home when I was young. So
Yeah.
working at the shelter, because I just moved here about 2 years ago, and almost the shelter became a second home for me. I hadn't started working, and I wanted to dedicate my time to a worthy cause. And when I went to the shelter, I was just so impressed how it was run and how compassionate both the staff and the volunteers
Yes.
were. So I wanted to be a part of that.
and you have a failed foster on Jack.
Yes.
He's now yours.
And 2 cats.
And I was going to say, I think that
Yes.
happened again on 2 cats, right?
I did.
You're going to
So
have a house full of animals from the
Yes.
shelter pretty soon.
Yes, I call it my zoo, my private zoo.
Your private
So-
zoo. When the night of the gala, you'll both be there, of course, and what forms of payment will we be taking that night for auction items and bids or donations? What?
We will accept cash, check, or credit card, so we'll have, the square so we can run your credit card, and
Okay.
so we'll be happy to accept any of those forms of payment.
And you told me there were some little fun side things going on that we might have a photo booth.
We do. We're going to have a digital photo booth, and the person that is dedicated, or actually just giving it to us for free. She has like 6 backgrounds you can choose from.
Oh.
So yeah, you can make it a really fun event. She has props. And so I think people will probably have
These
a good
kinda
time
silly.
doing that.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And there'll be time at the beginning. We open at 6, and there'll be time to look at all the auction items.
Sure.
Which,
Yes.
if the barn, the barn at Sycamore Farms is a beautiful place.
Oh,
and I want people to know,
yeah.
even though we say Arrington, it is very close to Central Franklin. I mean, when you just go out 96 past the hospital, and it's on your left, 3 or 4 miles down the road. It's built specifically to be a event venue.
Exactly, yeah.
And there is a side porch where we will have all the silent auction items. Is that right? And then we'll have a band and a dance floor
We
for
do.
after dinner.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
and people should not worry that the word is gala. I've already had the question, is it formal? No,
No.
it's not formal.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Right.
So
it's supposed to be fun for everybody.
come from work, and the South, you can make a pair of jeans and cowboy boots look formal if you just wear the right top or the right shirt.
right.
That's true, is it not?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Style it however you wish.
That's true. Now, you mentioned the donors. I want to mention that F&M Bank, which is on the square in Franklin, is what we call the presenting sponsor of our event, and we want to thank F&M Bank for that. We have a number of other local businesses that have come on board as sponsors at different levels. We have, let me see, I'm getting my numbers right. We have Animalia is participating, the Berry Farms Animal Hospital. You have a gift from the farm at Natchez Trace,
Yes,
which is quite a
correct.
popular place to
That's
board
great, yeah.
board animals. So that's going to be in the auction at
Live auction.
the live auction.
Yes.
Okay. We have Berger, Mosley, and Carson attorneys who are also sponsoring tables, but we still have a few tables available. So
We do.
I'm calling on all the other local businesses to get your name out there and,
That's
and let
right.
us know that you do support the shelter and that you will be there that night. You said we had a band, and
We do.
okay,
They're called the Respectables.
the Respectables.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are very excited about that. They're going to be playing about 2 hours during the event, and we encourage dancing.
Good.
So yeah.
Well, it's a celebration, and it's important to look toward the work that the shelter needs done. It doesn't fall within the normal budget, and there are a lot of those financial needs come. Even things as simple as a case of heartworms.
Yeah.
If we had to treat every animal that had heartworms out of the budget that we have for operations, it could be a pressing issue because they often animals are not taken care of when they come to the shelter, and
Right.
they're wonderful pets. They need to be adopted, but we find out they have what amounts to $800 worth of medical, and they have to be fostered, and it starts a process. So fostering you mentioned, and while we're on the air, every time we have this show, I mention to people that there's so many ways to volunteer. You don't have to come to the shelter and walk dogs, and you could be a foster. And we have a whole community of, especially kitten fosters,
Yes.
who take these newborn kittens and feed them every 1 to 2 hours for weeks on end, and they don't get the credit they deserve.
Thank you. That is exactly right.
They really don't, because they're
yes.
behind the scenes, and then we
Exactly.
have medical specialty clinics for ophthalmology that we send animals to, for orthopedics, spinal surgeries that other doctors won't take on. There's a wonderful community of veterinarians out there, but they need to be paid for their services, and that's
Right.
where Friends of becomes so important. Well, ladies, a Pawsome Gala sounds like it's going to be so much fun. And we want to remind people that it is March 7th at the barn at
Sycamore
Farms.
Yes.
And you can get tickets at friendsofwcac.com.
Correct.
And you can come that night armed with your credit card because we're going to raise money for lots of different things.
Great
Medical,
variety, they'll enjoy
a big
it.
variety. Yeah, it is a variety. You mentioned dance lessons, everything from dance lessons to car services. So
Right.
it varies, and lots of things for animals, lots of cute art. So thank you for sharing all of that with us today.
Oh, thank you
Welcome.
for having us.
I want to mention some of the things that are coming up at the shelter. Our February volunteer orientation will be Tuesday, February 12th at 6 p.m. at the main library branch on Columbia Avenue. If you'd like to sign up to come to that volunteer orientation, go to adoptwcac.org and click on the Volunteer Online tab and sign up for that, and you'll get an email reminding you about that February 12th volunteer orientation, and that's where it all starts. Whether you want to be a cat volunteer, a dog walker, go to events with us, work on the gala, raise money, be a foster, it all starts at that volunteer orientation. That's where you can learn about all the options that you have in helping us. And on Valentine's Day, we'll be doing our second year of cuddlegrams in the community. You can call the shelter right now to schedule that. If you're seeing this before February 14th, these probably will sell out, so call soon. Schedule a cuddlegram for $100. We will go to a place of business that you tell us where you'd like us to go, and we will present them with a 15-minute session of kitten or puppy cuddles for Valentine's Day. We will be closed Monday, February 18th for the President's Day holiday, and we'll be having our next rabies and microchip clinic on Saturday, February 23rd at the shelter from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. The rabies shots are only $10 and microchips are $15. It's just absolutely the best way for your pet to find its way home should it ever get loose or out of your care. A microchip is an infallible way to get them back home to you, and you don't need to panic if they have it. If they don't, come get one for $15. It's worth it just for the peace of mind. And we hope you'll think of the shelter if you're thinking of adopting a pet. We're open for adoptions Monday through Friday from 10 to 6 and Saturday from 11 to 3. You can follow us on Facebook for more information. It's a great place to see all the new pets. As they come in and go to the adoption floor, we take wonderful photos and post them on Facebook and put their pet profiles on Pet Finder so you can see there exactly the kind of pet that you might want. Thank you again, ladies,
Welcome.
for telling us about a Pawsome Gala. I hope everybody goes on March 7th and has a lot of fun and raises a lot of money for the shelter. I hope to see you next month on Pet Watch.